Speaking about Nvidia, let's get into Nvidia.
Plans of their own to develop their own AI chips. Christina Partsinevelos is with us now. Obviously, all eyes are on Nvidia, and they report on the 22nd of this month. But what about this ARM report? What's it mean?
I'll get to Nvidia in a second, but it seems everybody wants a piece of this AI pie. So the Nikkei is reporting that ARM is setting up an AI division and with plans to actually launch an AI chip prototype by 2025. The company has supposedly already begun talks with foundries like TSMC for capacity to support this new part, which could, and this is according to the report, lead to an eventual spin-off of their AI chip business, which would be a positive for SoftBank given its 90% stake in ARM. I reached out, ARM wouldn't comment, but this AI chip would mean two things. First, it would be a major pivot for ARM's business model, given that it focuses on royalty and licenses. And then secondly, it would put ARM in competition with its current customer base, like Nvidia, like Apple, et cetera. So that's why you have some analysts right now, Wells Fargo, I read a note, Wedbush, they're a little skeptical of this report thus far. And since you guys have brought up Nvidia so much, and we're talking about AI chips, let's talk about what's happening on May 22nd. We know the share price is up 1% right now. It's hovering 5% higher in the last month, but that doesn't mean loyalty is gone. Jefferies estimates that AI as a percentage of total chip revenue will go from 5%, which was back in 2022, to 25% by 2027. So it's going to continue to drive growth, especially with all of these deep budgets and pockets from the hyperscalers that are promised to spend. And Nvidia remains the favorite, given its control over the entire ecosystem, the software that's included, as well as the launch of its new Blackwell GPU chip for the second half of this year. So speaking of Nvidia, the early whisper numbers, we often look at this for Nvidia specifically, and this is according to Wells, is that it's going to be $26 billion for the April quarter, and that's total revenues, versus the street estimates at 24.5 right now. That means out of that 26 billion, at least 23 billion has to come specifically from data center revenues. And you were talking about valuations. Analysts keep revising their estimates.
Before we go further, do I think Nvidia could come in at that $26 billion number? My opinion is I see why not. I can't see why not. Honestly, I can't see why not. They have pretty consistently beat around $2 billion a quarter. So I don't, or more. And so I don't see why they can't come in and beat that number, right? They've been they put out the guide. The guide will usually be higher, but it's not too crazy higher than what analysts are expecting. And they come in and beat the numbers. So, yeah, I don't see why they couldn't.
For Nvidia, just leading up to this report, and bulls would argue that the stock is trading at 37 times forward PE ratio, and you compare it to AMD at 44 times. ARM, you wouldn't even compare because that's way higher, 70 times. But what's important for this company is how the stock reacts post earnings. 16% higher in one day, like last quarter that we saw. There was 24% the previous quarter. That's going to pull in more money into semis, or is it going to go lower, and that's really going to drive momentum out and maybe into software?
Christina, thank you. Christina Partsinevelos, appreciate that. It's hard to find people getting negative ahead of the print on the 22nd. Adam Parker, who's gotten, I think, incrementally more cautious / negative on mega cap tech, won't go there when it comes to Nvidia. They're still bullish there. Jefferies says that pullback that we had, Joe, was the time to reload. They raised their target to 1,200. Too early to sift out the winners and losers in the AI basket yet, but Nvidia is our favorite. I mean, some people would quibble with maybe it's not too early. I mean, the street has obviously placed its bet that it's not too early to say that Nvidia is undoubtedly one of the winners. Doesn't have to be the undisputed winner, but it is no doubt thought of as, if there's a couple of winners, 2, 3. They're in that mix, no matter what.
Yes, and I agree completely on what Adam is saying about Nvidia. It's the anchor of the AI halo, and I doubt very much that even if Nvidia was to deliver an earnings report, which would be disappointing, and we'd see the price decline, I don't think very many people would move so quickly away from Nvidia. So, as I said, it seems to be the core anchor AI holding. What's interesting to me is what the effect is going to be of Nvidia's earnings on the rest of the AI halo. Because if I take three names.
About like critical?
So if I take three names, if I take Broadcom, I take Cadence Design, which I talk about a lot, and I take AMD, each of those stocks had their peak in March. Those stocks have done nothing over the last 60 days. They need something to resurrect performance, and it's really, they're reliant on getting something positive from Nvidia to do that. So I really think the AI halo is where you want to focus on off this upcoming report.
I've thought, I have a thought process in regards to where Nvidia stock price is going short term. I thought it could hit 1,000 plus before earnings. We'll see if it happens. I wouldn't count it out. I mean, I know it looks pretty far away considering Nvidia earnings are next week, and it's 906 right now. To sort of climb to 1,000 plus is a big percentage move there, right? But I don't know. I've kind of always thought like it would be 1,000 plus, and then if they come out and knock numbers out of the ballpark again, then 1,200 after earnings. But we'll see. We'll see where things shake out there. There's no reason for me to believe guidance is going to be bad or something like that, because we know they got the new Blackwell chip coming out back half of the year. We know demand's going to be insane for that. We know spend continues. I mean, every big tech company's trying to get their hands on as many Nvidia chips this year as possible, right? Which is really going to push into next year and following years as well. So there's, I just think it's a very tough stock to bet against. It really is brutal, especially considering the valuation is not crazy on it. It's at forward P under 40. With those sorts of growth rates and that sort of positioning in the market, the center of the universe, that's a hard one to say it's overvalued. Google, McDougal. So with Google, there's been a lot of question marks about Google's business model moving forward. Obviously, with LLMs, there's a thought process about LLMs are going to dent into Google's search business. But not only that, there's a thought process that's been talked about for the past year that to basically do a search through an LLM or something and get one of those responses back versus just be able to type it in on Google search, the cost of that, there's been estimates I've seen is 80 times as much, 100 times as much, like crazy numbers, 10 times as much. Like what? Sundar Pichai got asked that question very direct by, I think her name was Deidre Bosa, woman at CNBC, and I appreciate her asking that question. And he basically made it sound like there's like hardly any increase in cost in regards to this. And so it doesn't sound like that boogeyman that was out there where it was like, oh boy, Google's screwed. Their cost is going to go up immensely and the company's finished. Based upon what the CEO said, it didn't sound like that at all. So that, Google's got other boogeymen out there, and I think the real one is the government potentially denting their business model. But in regards to the whole cost equation, I think that boogeyman, you got to throw that out the door now at this point in time. No, Google also showed off and was bragging about how they're going to have Nvidia Blackwell chips, right, available in early 2025. And so exciting, right? But what's this mean to Nvidia? Because that's a real thing. Because these Blackwell chips, big deal. You're going to have them in early 2025. Guess what? Amazon's going to have them. Tesla's probably going to have them, right? Microsoft's going to likely have them. Everybody's going to have these chips. Everybody in big tech's going to have them. So, big deal. You got them in early 2025. So does everybody else. Big whoopee. What's it mean for Nvidia, though? Okay, it's a continuation of big tech bowing at Jensen's feet. Thank you, Jensen. Jensen, you are our daddy. They're just bowing down to the man left and right. I mean, when you got your big presentation, and this is so crazy because it's basically every big tech company on their conference calls, on their presentations, they can't wait to brag about they're getting Nvidia chips. Elon Musk is doing it. Zuck's doing it. Google's CEO Sundar Pichai's doing it. Satya Nadella's doing it. All the smaller big tech companies are doing it. Everybody just can't wait to brag about how they got their hands on some Nvidia chips, right? And so it just goes to show you that the most important company in the world right now, 5 years from now it's going to be different, 10 years from now it might be different, but the most important company in the world right now is Nvidia. They are the center of the universe. When you got every one of the biggest big tech CEOs bowing down to this company, it's a game changer. And so that's when I look at Nvidia and I say it's a must-own stock. It's a must-own. Incredible income statement, incredible balance sheet, incredible track record and history, incredible products and services. But at the end of the day, it's a must-own stock. Must-own. I got 35 shares in this particular account. I got another 33 shares in the public account. I've got to own that stock. You can't just, it's one of those few stocks out there that you just can't bypass and be like, I don't want it. When you got every one of the most powerful CEOs in the world basically saying, we got, we're so happy you're blessing us with some chips, right? Elon Musk is like, we got 35,000 chips from Nvidia. We want 85,000 of the big dogs by the end of this year. And then they're going to be ordering likely unlimited amounts of Blackwells and all these things. And so Nvidia just remains the center of the universe. They're going to report great numbers. They're probably going to report another great guidance. And we'll see where the stock goes. I thought it might go 1,000 plus before earnings. Maybe it doesn't go there. But yeah, Nvidia, whew, that's real power. That's real power. When you can get the biggest companies in the world in their conference calls and their presentations bragging about we're going to have their chips. My gosh, is that powerful. You can't put a dollar amount on that. You can't put a dollar amount on that. I'm amazed Nvidia's forward P is not 80 or 100 right now. I'm amazed that it's in the 30s right now. Amazed. Another stock I view as a must own is like a Meta, right? Meta is like an Nvidia in sense of business. If you run a business, you have to advertise on Meta's platforms. You got to advertise on Facebook. You got to advertise on Instagram. That's where you go. It's the center of the universe for business advertising, right? And then if I think about for big tech companies, the center of the universe for them is Nvidia. So whenever you got this is the center of the universe for this massive industry, it's incredibly powerful. I mean, like the most powerful, okay? So yeah, man, wow, bullish Nvidia. Now, AWS, big news here today. Amazon Web Services CEO, he stepped down, right? Now, this is a big deal for me. I got a lot of shares in the company, right? So I thought USA Today did a pretty good breakdown of everything going on here. Amazon Web Services CEO announced he's stepping down after leaving the e-commerce company cloud computing business. He spent 15 years working for it and put it in a strong position. Adam, who became the CEO of the Amazon subsidiary in 2021, will leave the business to spend more time with family for a while, recharge a bit, and create some mental free space to reflect and consider the possibilities, he says. Okay. Who will replace him? Wow. Starting on June 3rd, Matt Garman, who began with Amazon Web Services as a summer intern in 2005, so he's an internal hire. That's pretty cool. Matt has an unusually strong set of skills and experiences for his new role, Jassy said in the announcement. He's very customer-focused, a terrific product leader, inventive, clever problem solver, write a lot. That's always a good thing when you write a lot. Has high standards and a meaningful bias for action. And in the 18 years he's been with AWS, he's been one of the best learners I've ever encountered. Now, first off, in regards to why this is such a huge deal, if you look at Amazon's latest earnings here, okay, you're going to see for their North American segment, which is like, e-commerce and advertising, about $5 billion in operating income this latest quarter. Their international business, about $903 million of operating income. And then AWS, nearly $10 billion of operating income. So it's clear, if you know anything about Amazon, you know AWS is actually their most important business. I know everybody sees those Amazon trucks going all over your neighborhood, and you probably order a million things on Amazon every single month, right? But at the end of the day, the actual most important business for Amazon is AWS, just factually based, right? Now, here's the deal, okay? First off, Adam left on good terms, so that's good. But I think we need to factor in something very important here, okay? AWS has not had the best growth with Adam as CEO. So I think that should be factored in as well, right? And so when you think about AWS and you think about this was always a business you could basically put in the bag 20% plus revenue growth, and they haven't been that over the past year or two. And I think Jassy wants to get this business to even a higher level. So although things all ended on good terms, it sounds like everybody across the board, it's good. At the same time, I do wonder if they think there's another level up here AWS can go. The space is very competitive. We know Microsoft with Azure is right there. We know, obviously, Google's, further back, but they're there. We know Oracle wants to get bigger and bigger in the cloud. So there's a lot of competition here, as with every major business segment. So AWS has to remain ahead of the competition, and it looks like they're making the move that they think is probably best for the company moving forward. So, it might be just one of those mutual situations where, he maybe wanted to go on do something else, and, Amazon's like, that's fine, because we probably have, no one's going to say it like that, but, we might have somebody better to fit that role, right? So, that's that. No, this here today, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Peter Thiel all sold their stocks just before the market erased $2 trillion, okay? So, this type of stuff, it can get people all going, right? It gets the people going. And at the end of the day, you just do a little more research sometimes, right? Okay? Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has been selling shares on and off since 2002. 2002, right? He's no new person to selling shares of Amazon stock. His Amazon stock has gone up immensely over the years, so the dollar amount looks huge nowadays because he's literally the richest man or one of the richest men in the world, right? So, of course, the dollar amount's going to look huge no matter what he sells. But the man's been selling Amazon shares for, he's got sells all the way back 20 plus years ago. And yet look at Amazon stock over the past 20 plus years. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So this is everybody makes a big deal. Oh, the CEO sold stock. Oh my gosh. And then at the end of the day, every Amazon share you've basically sold over the past 20 plus years was a mistake. It was a mistake. Every share Jeff Bezos has ever sold of Amazon stock is basically a mistake at the end of the day. And it will be even a way bigger mistake long term because we know Amazon's got growth for decades to go in the future. So if any shares Jeff Bezos sold last year, the year before, the year before, the year before, the year before, 2010, 2020, whatever year, it's all a mistake in the end. And if you're thinking of it in the context of what's going to become worth more, those dollars he sold for, or the Amazon shares. The Amazon shares are going to become worth a lot more. The e-commerce business has, a decade, multi-decades of growth ahead. The advertising business, same exact thing. AWS, the same thing. Never mind future products and services. I mean, that's the bottom line with that, right? So then you say, okay, what about Zuckerberg, right? Zuckerberg. Well, Zuckerberg, he sold in the IPO. Did you know Zuckerberg sold around 30 million shares, pocketed over $1 billion? You might think that was a good decision. No, it wasn't. Meta stock has over 10x'd since IPO. And so every one of those shares Zuckerberg sold, he would have been way better off, massively better off on a financial front to have just held those dang shares over that time. Because those shares are worth a whole lot more money today, baby. A whole lot more money today, right? But people sell stocks, big executives sell stocks. Sometimes it's to, pay taxes. Sometimes it's to buy fancy stuff, a yacht, a house, a mansion, whatever, right? Sometimes it's just for a little mental clarity, a little freedom, a little I feel good. I got 500 mil in the bank. I got 2 billion in the bank. Yeah, I got my another 10 billion in stocks, but I got this money over here just in case everything fails, right? It feels good. It feels good, right? But it's honestly a bad financial decision. Zuckerberg's been selling Meta stock on and off for years. It's not like that's new. Heck, he's been selling, honestly, shares, diluting himself since the company was in the early days, back in 2004, 5, 6, way before IPO days. He's been diluting himself, right? Which is ownership stake got smaller and smaller. Peter Thiel? Come on, man. Peter Thiel, he's a VC guy. He's selling stuff all the dang time. Come on, man. Peter Thiel, just knock it off with that, right? But this is market mentality. Everybody gets going, oh man, this person sold, that person sold. They're always selling. And by the way, guess what? The best time to sell is when your stock price is actually in a good place. Because let's imagine you're Zuckerberg and you're selling shares in November 2022. It's not a good look. Your stock price is under $100. Your stock price just declined 70%. Your company's getting hammered and you're selling a bunch of shares. It's not a good look, right? If you are going to cash some shares, it better be when that stock's at a record high or somewhere near it, right? It's just the optics of it look a lot better. I love this meme. You guys ever seen the stock market meme before? I've got a stock here that could really excel. Really excel? Excel? Sell? Sell? Sell, 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 sell. This is madness. I can't take it anymore. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Oh, man. That's the market for you right there, man. It's just beautiful.